Today, we go deeper into how certainty, control, and old survival patterns may be quietly draining your joy and what to do instead. You'll hear practical, story-filled insights on modeling healthy self-care, curiosity, and boundaries, so your kids see you not only surviving, but fully alive. Stay tuned. Welcome to Fulfillment Therapy. I'm Kendra Nielsen, wife, mom, and licensed therapist. Do you ever feel like you're doing everything right, but you're still exhausted and empty? Did you think life, marriage, and parenting would be simpler and more rewarding? Sometimes you just want to crawl back into bed and lose yourself in screen time and chocolate, rather than face that personal or family stress. You are not alone. This podcast helps you break free of the rat race and build a richer, more meaningful life, flourishing incrementally and realistically, improving your mental health and wellness, and living with deeper purpose beyond the mundane, no matter where you are in life's journey. Each day, you're going to feel pretty good about it. What do you personally do out of curiosity? Do you have a list of your hopes, or do you just take off one or two things a day?
I meditate every morning.
Yeah.
I didn't start off deciding I would meditate every morning because I started off, I'm going to try meditation. I didn't do it for a few days, and then I would try it again. But I decided initially that I would meditate for 5 minutes, and then it grew to 10 minutes. What I find is that provides a fuel so that I'm much less likely to get thrown during the day. Now, I may need to do some type of distraction exercise when I get angry or when I get stuck or whatever. But having meditated at first in the morning is really helpful. And then I also know that working out is really good for me. And I will work out, and I'll do it for like 6 months, and then I'll fall off. And then at some point it's like, well, I'm not working out anymore, so let me just try working out today.
Yeah.
And then the next day, it's like, I don't really feel like working out, but I'm going to work out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then, slowly get myself back in the habit of working out again.
Appreciate you sharing a personal example. When you talked about neuroscience and what you know of the brain and all of your deep dive into all of this, what do you wish people would know about the brain that will help them make those mind shifts?
It's really hard to think of just one thing. I think that one thing that occurs to me as you're asking the question is that when we're in our survival brain, our brain is being flooded with stress hormones,
Yeah.
adrenaline and cortisol, which is then reinforcing our fight, flight, freeze responses. And in order for those hormones to flush out of the brain, we need to be calm for somewhere between 30 seconds and 90 seconds. Now, that calming can be meditation. It can be a walk. It can be concentrating on our breathing, which is real meditation. It could be listening to music. It could be doing a sport. But just that pause for 30 to 90 seconds to allow those hormones to flush out so that we can then be curious or empathetic or exploratory. That's right up there with the things that I wish everybody knew how to do.
Just thinking about all those parenting things, especially if you have young toddlers, elementary and middle school kids, there's not a lot of emotional regulation. The more you feel stretched thin, it's like, 30 to 90 seconds maybe doesn't seem too hard if you have older kids or not as much chaos. But when you have it coming from so many different directions, how do you do that? Do you have any guidance on how we can achieve 30 to 90 seconds of calming?
It's a matter of figuring out what you can do. You don't have to stop everything and say, wait a minute, stop your crying. Let me pay attention to the loudness of the crying rather than the fact that I wish they were quiet. Let me pay attention to the breathing that this person is going through. Let me just hold the person and think about the person rather than the quiet that I wish they were being. You don't have to do a breathing exercise or stop what's going on. It's where you direct your attention in a way that doesn't throw the other person off. And that works in meetings. You could be having a meeting with a person and feel your anger increasing. Then you say, I'm just going to concentrate on the tone of the person's voice or focus on looking at their eyes. That process gets you out of thinking about getting angrier and onto something else, which then allows the hormones to dissipate and for you to act with more equanimity and self-regulation.
Great tips on how to do that. Can you tell us a little more about mirror neurons? What is it?
Well, mirror neurons developed in mammals and in the great apes, and they're even more developed in human beings. People have said that's what's allowed us as a species to become the alpha species, because we're capable of working together to accomplish great things. We learn by watching other people. We're social learners. It's a two-edged sword because the mirror neurons, whatever they pick up on, we feel compelled to act in a certain way. So yes, they allow us, when we're with people who are happy, successful, to feel happy, to be successful, to be more like them. But they also, when we get the feeling that somebody is judging us, that somebody is criticizing us, that somebody is attacking us, they cause us to want to attack back. Our natural response. So when your spouse says, why are you reading the paper when the garbage needs to be taken out? It's not that you're thinking, oh, the garbage needs to be taken out. You're thinking, this person just judged me. It's like, why don't you ever let me just do something in peace? But the other side of mirror neurons is, just because that's our natural reaction doesn't mean that we have to always follow it. So if we have the self-awareness to think, wait a minute, I understand that my mirror neurons are going to ask me to copy what I think the other person is doing to me. But if I were really curious, how would I respond? We could do that with kids also. It's like, how was your day at school? Why are you asking me? Our natural response, I'm asking because I'm your parent and I have a right to know it. But if we can say, wait a minute, that may be my natural inclination, but how could I respond if I were really curious with this person? It's like, well, maybe the response is, oh, I can see that the way I asked you was probably not the best way of asking. Is there a way I could have asked that better? Something different, so that we're responding from a point of curiosity. And if we can do that type of response 5 or 6 times, eventually the other person's mirror neurons are going to be picking up, oh, wait a minute, this person is responding with curiosity and empathy, and they're going to start feeling the pressure to respond with curiosity and empathy as well.
I think that's a great example. It just reminds me, like, I had a different podcast guest on recently that talked about people kind of coming at her in anger, like a traffic thing, and really raging. She responded with curiosity and empathy. I didn't think about the mirror neurons part of that, but as she stayed in that curious and empathetic space, how then that other person started to mirror that and calm down. You do see that in parenting and marriage as well. It's definitely easier said than done to be that bigger person, to stay calm, curious, open, and empathetic. Do you have any suggestions on how you do that or how people do that?
Well, I'll say that one thing that I found that does not work is to say, I'm going to be the bigger person here. I'm going to be the mature one. I found that does not get the results that I want. There's really 3 ways that any person can get out of their survival reactions. First way is through self-awareness or metacognition. Sometimes just being aware, something, I'm in limbic mode right now and I don't have to be. Sometimes that's enough.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can do self-talk to talk yourself out of it. What's the most important thing I would want to get out of this interaction? How could I be curious right now? How could I be empathetic right now? It's questions that open yourself up. It's not questions that close yourself off or put you down. And then the third way is some type of distraction, which could be meditation. It could be concentrating on your breath. It could be counting to 10 to yourself. So it's really a combination of those 3 things that allow us to stay in equanimity. Sometimes we just need to physically take a break. I'm detecting that we're both a little bit angry. Why don't we take a 5-minute break and come back to this in 5 minutes?
That response shows more wisdom, empathy, even curiosity, instead of just jumping to defending yourself or getting into that survival limbic brain where you're sure that you're right, but instead just having more curiosity, that self-awareness. And again, I just think of all those moments where I definitely did not, but it's the practicing of it, right? Recognizing you're not going to nail it every time. Do you have any personal examples you can think of where you were able to do this? Like maybe you went to distraction, or maybe you thought about what you want to get out of it that can illustrate that point?
I think if you know what type of situation is going to occur, and you know that you want to be in a curious, empathetic way, you can practice things in advance. So if you know that very often your child has a messy room or doesn't eat vegetables, and you always have this battle, you could say, I tend to have this battle with this person all the time. What are some other ways that I could approach it? What are some questions that I could ask them? A way for me to feel in this interaction so that I'm not feeling judgmental or angry, and practice those. And sometimes AI is pretty good about that, because you can say to AI, my child does so-and-so. I would like you to play my child, and I'm going to try a few questions on you. How would you react in this way?
I love that. That's one way I have not thought of using AI, but that's genius. There's so many uses. That's beautiful, because I'm sure they could come up with some that you wouldn't think of, and then you can give it prompts to adjust it accordingly. Like if your kid is generally more reactive or more hyper, or just put that in there too. That's a great idea.
We've been married for 40 years, so there's been times where I'm going to have a very difficult conversation. I know that it's going to be fraught with possibly fights or arguments. The idea of saying, well, wait a minute, I'm not just going to go into this conversation unprepared. Let me think through some responses that I can make that will be less inflammatory than what I would normally do. If my wife responds in a way that would normally trigger me, what am I going to do so that I'm not angry in the moment, that I'm able to be more resourceful?
Yeah. It reminds me of last night. I had a conversation that I wasn't anticipating. I wish I would have known about it so I could have consulted maybe AI or just done some meditation. My daughter, her mom and her dad are both therapists, so she talks maybe differently than other kids, but she's like, I'm not showing emotions to be manipulative or anything, but this is how I'm feeling about A, B, and C. And initially, because of what she had been doing before, I felt myself being a little more tense, maybe a little more in that fight or flight, those stress hormones. And then I just did that same thing. I just took a big breath, and I tried to shift to that empathy, that curiosity. And I don't think I specifically asked myself, what do I want to get out of this interaction? But something like that. Like, how do I want our relationship to look based on this?
Perfect.
And so it did end up going better as I was able to feel that shift, give her more validation, more love, more empathy, and then share my side a little bit too. And then when she didn't respond in this way, maybe I was looking for those mirror neurons, that copying too. I don't remember how I said it, but I feel like I've done a good job validating what you're saying. And I've noticed that on my side, I don't necessarily know that you have done that. Let's talk a little bit about that. It was more of a give and take, and it was pretty positive. And thanking her afterwards. I've not done that every time. It was more of a win last night.
You're human?
I know,
Right?
it's very strange. But yeah, something that I think would really speak to listeners. And my last question I have for you is, as you know, we talk a lot about fulfillment on this podcast. What's one way that maybe mind shifting in your own life has brought more fulfillment and peace in your own life?
Because I'm often thinking about what I want, what are my values in a certain situation, I think I give off an aura of somebody who's basically happy with life. I will say I had a big come up in my mind when I was with a group of people, and so I'm 72, okay?
Yeah.
I was with a group of people who were 50, okay? And one of the people who was 50 came up with me and says, you know something, Mitch? When I get old, I want to be just like you. And I'm like, I'm not old, but it is meant to be as a compliment. And I have come up with the fact that, yes, chronologically, 72 is old. I may have the maturity of a 9-year-old, but chronologically, I'm 72 years old, and that's considered old.
So you're able to just kind of accept that and shift that mindset a little bit instead of it being an insult. I can choose how I want to see it.
And then I guess another example was recently somebody in the extended family did something which really got me upset. I'm supposed to be the expert at this, right? So I realized I was upset. I did positive self-talk, like, what do I really want to get out of this? I did mindfulness, and I just couldn't get out of it. So I ended up calling my son, who's an adult, and his name is Herb. I said, Herbie, you know what happened here? And I can't stop getting angry. And he's like, Daddy, you wrote the book. Just do something from the book. I said, I can't do this. He says, okay, I'm going to go to the book. So he goes to the book. He goes to one of the exercises, and he just walked me through. So sometimes we just need somebody else, and to recognize that, you know something, I can't do this on my own. I need to call Kendra, who can walk me through this because she's a professional and she has the vocabulary and she has the tools. Or somebody else who I trust who can walk me through and allow me to be calm so that I can be resourceful.
I appreciate you speaking to that because many of us, it doesn't appeal to our ego to ask for help or to be humble or to slow down enough to do that. But the more interviews I do, the more clients I work with, it reiterates that point. When we get in that space of curiosity, humility, set aside that ego and get help from other people, that's when the incredible shifts happen. And it's so beautiful to see. It puts us in this space of learning, right? Love it. Thank you for sharing that. And all of the beautiful gems that you shared with us today, even just that perhaps I can mentality or that 30 to 90 seconds of calming, having that curiosity, that empathy, getting outside of our survival brain. I know this is going to speak a lot to listeners, and I appreciate you sharing all of these things with us today.
Well, I hope people find this useful. My goal is for a critical mass of people on this planet to be able to think this way, because we all feel the divisiveness that's all around us. And we all feel that there's these issues that we're not addressing because we're so busy judging and reacting and getting angry at people. I really feel that if people knew these skills and could talk to other people about these skills also, that we would start making progress and we would be happier and we'd be living more fulfilling lives.
Oh, absolutely. So if this resonates with people and they love what you're talking about and they want to learn more about what you're doing, where can they find you? Any resources you have?
My website is mindshiftingwithmitch.com.
Okay.
And so anybody can go to mindshiftingwithmitch.com. I have a newsletter. You can sign up for the links to the books are on my website. I'm also on LinkedIn. I have a downloadable resource about how to apply this within families. I'm going to email you the link to that resource, and you can put it on your website and people can download it, and hopefully they'll find that helpful as well.
That'll be wonderful. And I'll put that in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for coming on the show with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, despite the fact that I've been called the worst parent in the history of mankind.
You still have plenty of nuggets.
Maybe there's a gift there.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it. And we will definitely be taking these things to heart and implementing them.
All right.
Thanks for joining this powerful 2-part conversation on mind shifting and fulfillment. Your desire to grow is what changes your family tree. To keep going, visit fulfillmenttherapy.org to check out our courses, join our upcoming group coaching interest list, and sign up for weekly emails packed with tools and encouragement. Come say hi on our socials linked there and in the show notes. We'll see you back here every Monday with a new episode.
Hey friends, if you enjoyed this episode, a quick 30-second share can help someone else find support and help this podcast grow. Leaving a review on Apple Podcasts boosts visibility and keeps the show alive. Your simple acts make a big difference. I'll see you back here each week for more life-changing episodes.